guys, and welcome back to my channel. Hope everyone's having a terrific Tuesday and a great start to their week. I decided to come on here today and record my final episode of my saga. So this will be the last episode and also part 2 of my saga finale. So in the previous episode, I talked about basically how I woke up and what I decided to do from there, as far as realizing that Jehovah's Witnesses were not the true religion, that a lot of what I was taught was not necessarily true, and my actions, what I did, and what the results were, and my standing with my Jehovah's Witness family today. So in this episode, I'm going to kind of discuss some other things, such as mainly the beliefs that I have now, what I kind of believe in, and my journey in my beliefs since I've left the organization. So if you're interested in hearing a little bit about that, please stay tuned. So for those of you guys who are currently Jehovah's Witnesses, but you're questioning your beliefs and you're doing research on those, or if you've already left the organization, you will actually notice that many former Jehovah's Witnesses basically go in various directions of their beliefs. Some may, decide to join another religion, such as Christianity or something like that. Some may continue to believe in God or the Bible. And some people decide they don't believe in either one of them. Their research has taken them into the direction of not believing in those things anymore. So you'll see a lot of differences and things like that. But in my opinion, at the end of the day, even though we may disagree in what we currently believe in, I believe the important thing is that we were able to wake up to the organization in the first place. So even though we may not agree with what another person believes in, we still were able to wake up and were able to escape. And I think that's a really important thing. So my journey in what I believe actually started as I started waking up out of the organization. And so one of the changes I made was after researching the origins of the Bible that Jehovah's Witnesses use, which is a New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures. The most recent one that came out around the time that I left, but I never did actually get a copy of it because I didn't make it to that convention. Is silver in color, but prior to that, the Bibles were either black or like a burgundy red. But it's basically the Bible that Jehovah's Witnesses commonly use. Even when they meet people in their ministry, the scriptures they share are primarily from that Bible. And the excuse they use is that it's easier to read. It's in plain English versus maybe the common version used by people who believe in the Bible, the King James Version, which they claim is harder to read. But the reason actually why they use that Bible to try to convert people is because there are a lot of discrepancies between what's in their Bible and what's actually in common other Bible translations that are out there and recognized. And one such one I found while I was researching the religion as I was waking up was that a lot of what they quote, especially in the New Testament of their Bible, which they call the Christian Greek Scriptures, came from a man named Johannes Grieber. And when I looked him up, I found out some information about him. He was actually a former Catholic priest, and he translated with the help of his wife, who was a spirit medium, the New Testament. And so one of the scriptures that Jehovah's Witnesses kind of used from him that kind of matches his version of the New Testament is at John 1:1. In most other translations, it says in the beginning, the Word was with God and the Word was God. So it kind of basically supports the belief that Jesus and God are pretty much one and the same. Versus the New World Translation and Johannes Grieber's version, where it says in the beginning the Word was with God and the Word was a God. So I remember sharing a scripture with my husband, and this is while we were still dating, and we were constantly arguing back and forth about, Jesus is God's son. Jesus and God are not one and the same. And of course, his Bible said with God, and my New World Translation Bible said the word was a God. So there was constantly that discrepancy. And just finding out that the way that Johannes Griever actually translated his particular version of the New Testament, he says he used spirit directive forces. And basically the way he translated is that he had the letters and the words illuminated to him. So I found that really questionable. And a lot of people who did their research in the 80s or before me found that questionable as well. But when the Jehovah's Witnesses were exposed about it, they actually kind of backed out, and they revealed in their own literature that they used to refer to Johannes Griever, but they didn't know that he was a spiritist, and so they distanced themselves from him. But later it was found, even after they published that they had actually requested. There's a scanned letter, and this is actually in the Crisis of Conscience as well, where they actually requested copies of Johannes Griever's New Testament. So I found that really interesting. And so basically it definitely made me question the validity of the New World Translation and really its origins. So not too long after that, I actually basically threw away my Bible. And I remember the moment I went to Barnes and Nobles and got my own Bible. That was a pretty neat moment for me. I remember it was like a pink and brown Bible. I don't remember what version it was, but I just, thought it was so liberating to basically get my own Bible and not have to be tied down to one that my religion was telling me to stick to. So I remember just feeling so liberated at being able to read the Bible without any help and being able to actually understand it. And then the good thing that Jehovah's Witness training did allow me to do was that I knew locations of scriptures, because Jehovah's Witnesses tend to cherry pick a lot. So when I thought of different things, I was able to figure out where to find them. And so that was neat. So it was just interesting, just being able to read things on my own and learn things on my own. And so initially, once I formally left the religion, I initially really embraced Christianity. I was just a hardcore Christian in my beliefs, because I believed at the time, once I fully woke up from the organization, I honestly didn't think Jehovah's Witnesses were really true Christians. There were a lot of things that they did not believe that didn't quite mesh up with Christianity. One of the major things, of course, is Jesus being the mediator to everyone. Of course, Jehovah's Witnesses believe that Jesus is not the mediator to everyone. He's only the mediator to a select few, 144,000 to be exact. But if you ask the average Jehovah's Witness that question, is Jesus your mediator? You'll notice they'll either not quite be truthful, or they might march around the question, because they know the average Jehovah's Witness does not see Jesus as their direct mediator. They actually see him as basically mediating through a select number of people. And so for the next couple of years, I did embrace Christianity. I remember constantly trying to seek a new church to attend, because I guess I was trying to look for that belonging. Since I had left the organization and I didn't really have a group of people to be with or to worship with, I guess I was so used to that. So I was constantly looking for that, but I wasn't big on going to church or anything like that. But I was Christian in my beliefs. One of the other things was that I used to get really excited anytime, because a lot of my in-laws are Christian as well. And so, certain occasions, we would go to their church, and I remember being really excited about that and things like that. I think it was more so for the association than for anything else. So that was a big thing for me, being able to step foot in a church and not have a fear of being struck down dead, or basically Jehovah being mad with me or anything like that. And so the beauty of being free from an organization like the Jehovah's Witness organization is that you're free to believe what you want, and also to change your beliefs as you grow and develop. And so I feel like that's happened with me. I'm at the point where I feel like there are flaws in all of organized religion. I believe that, um, you know, religion has its own basically man-made origins. So but I do still strongly believe in God. I believe that He really guided me out of the organization. I believe He led me to my husband, and I feel personally that He has blessed me and protected me through all that I've kind of been through over these years. Now, some people may believe differently, um, but the wonderful thing is that we can all respect what we believe, even if we don't agree with it. So that's kind of where I am now. As far as the Bible is concerned, I find it interesting why certain books were selected to be in there and why they weren't. There are like several other books out there in a version of something called the Apocrypha that were not selected as being in the Bible canon. So I always question why those books weren't included. I do know that basically the Catholic Church were the ones that determined which books ended up in the canon and which were not. I find it interesting that they selected the number of books that they did. And the other thing I kind of question sometimes, one of the books that are prominently mentioned in the New Testament are books written by Paul. And one of the main reasons why a lot of people question the Bible is that Paul talks about basically women being silent, basically submitting to men, and all types of stuff. So they, view it as kind of chauvinistic. But in the Old Testament, basically women were judges and prophetesses, and they had all kinds of roles back then. So to me, there's kind of a disconnect there, and I find it interesting why Paul, I always wonder why Paul was included. But that's just something I just continue to research, and I know my beliefs will continue to change and evolve over time. And that's the beauty of being free from an organization. As I always hear, it's better that you have questions that cannot be answered than answers that can't be questioned. So that's just something that I continue to believe and develop. And the wonderful thing is that there are so many different people in the ex-Jehovah's Witness community that, have varying beliefs and, that basically you can somehow relate to. And that pretty much sums up where I am right now. A lot of people may not agree with how I feel or how I think, but that's okay. It's always okay to have a difference in belief and a difference in opinion. It's okay to agree to disagree. It's all right. But that pretty much sums up everything. So I hope you guys enjoyed my saga. It really felt it was very healing for me to talk about my story and to get some things off my chest. So I'll continue to post videos on this channel. I guess more story time, just wherever I feel in the mood to post something. But thank you to all the people who subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting, and thank you for liking. And please continue to do that. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Much love.